We back in business.
What?
Mark's here.
Yo.
Mark's back. Hey, if this is your first time joining, we are reading through Harry Potter every single day for an hour, or every single weekday for an hour. I have not read the books before. Please don't spoil anything in the chat. I don't know what's happening, what's coming at all. And Mark, he's been hanging out here and from the very beginning of the readings. And this is your second last time here.
Second last, yeah.
Second last
last
time.
night on the stream will be Tuesday.
That's very
It
sad.
has been an absolute pleasure. I have enjoyed every second of it right from the very first day.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Every second, every single one of my jokes?
Well, I didn't say that specifically, but it has been nothing but enjoyable.
Yeah, good. Well, it's been we'll leave the Oscar acceptance speech I'm gonna give you for Tuesday.
All right. Yeah, just like give it a little taste.
Yeah, take a little taste of the grandeur. What's going to spill forth. This is Dexter. Switch to the right exact time. Yeah, so we're just gonna read through that. Today's Friday. I'm a hot, sweaty mess. Just been sitting in my own sweat all day. I don't know about you, but I just put on this shirt beforehand because I'm like, I don't want to sit in my sweaty shirt. What's the last thing that happened? The last thing that happened was Harry went on a very crappy date. He was not sensitive at all to Cho, and Cho was a little bit manipulative. So it was just a crappy date all around. Then Hermione forced, what's her name? That journalist, Rita Skeeter, forced Rita Skeeter to write a good article about everything that's going on, to expose everything. And then they had a debrief with Hermione and Ron about why the date was so crappy. And that's where we ended up. Das is where we ended up. So we will put on the scar, and we will go from there and see what will happen in the whole Harry Potter world from here on in. Okay, so, actually, Mark, do you want to come over here and demonstrate your gift you got from Sherry Geller? It's what's it called?
An instant audience.
Yeah, what else you got? What else you got?
I have, for when John does something very exciting, which is generally not going to happen.
Yeah.
This is going to be the one I'm using all the time.
For the excellent jokes.
Yeah. And then also for those just like really, really good ones.
So, on Mark's two last shows, he's gonna pop in and do this at random times.
It's gonna be so distracting.
Who cares? Okay, so let's get right into it. If you're reading along in I think that this is the UK version of the books or the American version. There's like very, very, very minute differences. I'm on page 506. If you want to follow along, it's the UK version. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Ron and Ginny went off for. Okay, one second. This is the reading music. Putting that on. Ron and Ginny went off for baths after dinner. Harry and Hermione returned to the busy Gryffindor common room and their usual pile of homework. Harry had been struggling with a new star chart for astronomy for half an hour when Fred and George turned up. "Ron and Ginny not here?" asked Fred, looking around as he pulled up a chair. And when Harry shook his head, he said, "Good. We were watching their practice. They're going to be slaughtered. They're complete rubbish without us." "Come on, Ginny's not that bad," said George fairly, sitting down next to Fred. "Actually, I don't know how she's got so good, seeing how we never let her play with us." Who's saying this now? Hermione. "She's been breaking into your broom shed in the garden since the age of 6 and taking each of your brooms out in turn when you weren't looking," said Hermione from behind her tottering pile of ancient rune books. "Oh," said George, looking mildly impressed. "Well, that'd explain it." "Has Ron saved a goal yet?" asked Hermione, peering over the top of magical hieroglyphs and logograms. "Well, he can do it if he doesn't think anyone's watching him," said Fred, rolling his eyes. "So all we have to do is ask the crowd to turn their backs and talk among themselves every time the quaffle goes up his end on Saturday." He got up again. He got up again and moved restlessly to the window, staring out across the dark grounds. "You know, Quidditch was about the only thing in this place worth staying for." Hermione cast him a stern look. "You've got exams coming." Told you already. We're not fussed about newts, said Fred. The snack boxes are ready to roll. We found out how to get rid of those boils. Just a couple of drops of Murtlap essence sorts them. Lee put us on it. George yawned widely and looked out disconsolately at the cloudy night sky. Saved a goal. Rolling knows nothing about sporting terminology. You say, I don't know even if I even want to watch this match. If Zachariah Smith beats us, I might have to kill myself. Kill him, more like, said Fred firmly. That's the trouble with Quidditch, said Hermione absent-mindedly, once again bent over her runes translation. It creates all this bad feeling and tension between the houses. She looked up to find her copy of Spellman's syllabary. Syllabary? What's a syllabary? If anybody wants to look that up, feel free. True, I was a goalkeeper for 13 years and never had to save the goal. She looked up from a copy of Spellman's syllabary and caught Fred, George, and Harry all staring at her with expressions of mingled disgust and incredulity on their faces. Well, it does, she said impatiently. It's only a game, isn't it? Hermione, said Harry, shaking his head. You're good on feelings and stuff, but you just don't understand about Quidditch. what a guy sentence. That's such a guy sentence. Yeah. Look, you're really good with feelings and stuff, but you don't get football.
Don't get sports, man.
You're good with feelings, but you just don't get killing animals. Maybe not, she said darkly, returning to her translation. But at least my happiness doesn't depend on Ron's goalkeeping ability. It's a type of dictionary. Okay. And though Harry would rather have jumped off the astronomy tower than admit it to her, by the time he had watched the game the following Saturday, he would have given any number of galleons not to care about Quidditch either. The very best thing you could say about the match was that it was short. The Gryffindor spectators had to endure only 22 minutes of agony. It was hard to say what the worst thing was. Harry thought it was a close-run contest between Ron's 14th failed save, Sloper missing the bludger but hitting Angela in the mouth with his bat. Oh man, what? Wouldn't she have like a broken jaw? And Kirkay shrieking and falling backwards off his broom when Zachariah Smith zoomed at him carrying the quaffle. The miracle was that Gryffindor only lost by 10 points. Ginny managed to snatch. It's a tongue twister. Ginny managed to snatch the snitch. I wonder if she did that on purpose. Ginny managed to snatch a snitch. Ginny managed to snatch the snitch. Ginny managed to snatch the snitch. I did it. Wow. I'm impressed with myself. Ginny managed... Anybody? Ginny managed to snatch the snitch from right under Hufflepuff Seeker Summerbee's nose, so that the final score was 240 versus 230. Good catch, Harry told Ginny back in the common room, where the atmosphere resembled that of a particularly dismal funeral. Angelina with no teeth from now on, please. That is a good... Lucas, that is a good suggestion. I might just do that. I was lucky, she shrugged. It wasn't a very fast snitch, and Summerbee's got a cold. He sneezed and closed his eyes at exactly the wrong moment. Anyway, once you're back on the team, Ginny, I've got a lifelong ban. You're banned as long as Umbridge is in the school, Ginny corrected him. There's a difference. Anyway, once you're back, I think I'll try out for Chaser. Angelina and Alicia are both leaving next year, and I prefer goal scoring to seeking anyway. Harry looked over at Ron, who was hunched in a corner, staring at his knees, a bottle of butterbeer clutched in his hand. Angelina still won't let him resign, Ginny said, as though reading Harry's mind. She says she knows he's got it in him. Harry liked Angelina for the faith she was showing in Ron, but At the same time, thought it would really be kinder to let him leave the team. Ron had left the pitch to another booming chorus of, "We see you, King!" I missed that song. Sung with great gusto by the Slytherins, who are now favorites to win the Quidditch Cup. Book Ginny is awesome. Oh, okay. You mean my version of Book Ginny? Maybe?
I think they mean like instead of movie Ginny.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know movie Ginny yet. Well, we'll see. I'm excited to see all the movies and all the differences in them. Fred and George wandered over. "I haven't even got the heart to take the mickey out of him," said Fred, looking over at Ron's crumpled figure. Oh, poor Ron. "Mind you, when he missed the 14th, he made wild motions with his arms as though doing an upright doggy paddle." Well, I'll save it for parties, eh? Ron dragged himself up to bed shortly after this. Out of respect for his feelings, Harry waited a while before going up to the dormitory himself, so that Ron could pretend to be asleep if he wanted to. Sure enough, when Harry finally entered the room, Ron was snoring a little too loudly to be entirely plausible. Harry's a good friend. I think I've done stuff like that before. You know, just let this person be. Okay, that's too close. There it is. Harry got into bed, thinking about the match. It had been immensely frustrating watching from the sidelines. He was quite impressed by Ginny's performance, but he knew if he had been playing, he could have caught the snitch sooner. There had been a moment when it had been fluttering near Kirkale's ankle. If Ginny hadn't hesitated, she might have been able to scrape a win for Gryffindor. Umbridge had been sitting a few rows below Harry and Hermione. Once or twice, she had turned squatly in her seat to look at him, her wide toad's mouth stretched in what he thought had been a gloating smile. Ugh.
A gloating smile?
Umbridge?
Oh.
I don't know if they could hear him. Let us know if you could actually hear that. A gloating smile. The memory of it made him feel hot with anger as he lay there in the dark. After a few minutes, however, he remembered that he was supposed to be emptying his mind of all emotion before he slept, as Snape kept instructing him at the end of every occlumency lesson. He tried for a moment or two, but the thought of Snape on top of memories of Umbridge merely increased his sense of grumbling resentment, and he found himself focusing instead of how much he loathed the pair of them. Slowly, Ron's snores died away, to be replaced by the sound of deep, slow breathing. It took Harry much longer to get to sleep. His body was tired, but it took his brain a long time to close down. He dreamed that Neville and Professor Sprout were waltzing around the room of requirement, while Professor McGonagall played the bagpipes. And the 1, 2, 3. He watched them happily for a... Oh, this is not the bagpipes. This is a... What you call that? The accordion. It's more like 1, 2, 3. A very slow pressing. He watched them happily for a while, then decided to go and find the other members of the DA. Can't hear it. Carrie can't hear it. It's almost always hard to hear Mark. Yeah, without a good mic, I can't do 2 mics because then there's the echo thing. It might have to wait a while until I can actually set up 2 mics. But by that time, Mark will be gone. But when he left, he watched them happily for a while, then decided to go and find the other members of the DA. But when he left the room, he found himself facing not the tapestry of Barnabas the Barmy, but a torch burning in its bracket on a stone wall. He turned his head slowly to the left. There, at the far end of the windowless passage, was a plain, black door. Let's change it up a bit here, shall we? Let's change it up. There we go. He walked towards it with a sense of mounting excitement. He had the strangest feeling that this time he was going to get lucky, at last, and find the way to open it. He was feet from it, and saw with a leap of excitement that there was a glowing strip of faint blue light down the right-hand side. The door was ajar. He stretched out his hand to push it wide, and Ron gave a loud, rasping, genuine snore, and Harry awoke abruptly with his right hand stretched in front of him in the darkness to open a door that was hundreds of miles away. He let it fall with a feeling of mingled disappointment and guilt. He knew he should not have seen the door, but at the same time felt so consumed with curiosity about what was behind it that he could not help feeling annoyed with Ron. If only he could have saved his snore for just another minute. I get very nervous every time Harry dreams now, Carla. Yeah, totally. I just love all these names of the Hogwarts paintings. Too quiet. Harry has the most hilarious dreams. Yeah, that was a pretty fun one. They entered the Great Hall for breakfast at exactly the same moment as the post owls on Monday morning. Hermione was not the only person eagerly awaiting her daily prophet. Nearly everyone was eager for more news about the escaped Death Eaters, who, despite many reported sightings, had still not been caught. She gave the delivery owl a knut, and unfolded the newspaper eagerly, while Harry helped himself to orange juice. As it only had received one note during the entire year. He was sure, when the first owl landed with a thud in front of him, that it had made a mistake. Who are you after? He asked, languidly removing his orange juice from underneath its beak and leaning forwards to see the recipient's name and address. Harry Potter, Great Hall, Hogwarts School. Frowning, he made to take the letter from the owl, but before he could do so, 3, 4, 5 more owls had fluttered down beside it and were jockeying for position, treading in the butter and knocking over the salt as each one attempted to give him their letter first. Anyone?
That's the only one I'm gonna use.
He's never gonna use any other one. Hey, buddy. There he goes. There's Dexy. Ah. I called the Knut like that.
All these letters, I'm so curious.
Yeah, me too. What's going on? Ron asked in amazement as the whole Gryffindor table leaned forwards to watch, and another 7 owls landed among the first ones, screeching, hooting, and flapping their wings. Harry! Said Hermione breathlessly, plunging her hands into the feathery mass and pulling out a screech owl bearing a long cylindrical package. I think I know what this means. Open this one first. Perfect timing. Snape. Snape. Harry ripped off the brown packaging. Out rolled a tightly furled copy of the March edition of the Quibbler. Oh, cool. He unrolled it to see his own face grinning sheepishly at him from the front cover. In large letters across this picture were the words, Harry Potter speaks out at last. The truth about who he must not be named, and the night I saw him return. It's good, isn't it? Said Luna. Oh, no. It's good, isn't it? Said Luna, who had drifted over to the Gryffindor table and now squeezed herself onto the bench between Fred and Ron. It came out yesterday. I asked Dad to send you a free copy. I expect all these. She waved a hand at the assembled owls still scrabbling around the table in front of Harry. Are letters from readers. That's what I thought, said Hermione eagerly. Harry, do you mind if we... Help yourself, said Harry, feeling slightly bemused. Newscaster voice. Yeah, we gotta record your booze.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm not even gonna record mine over it. It's gonna be just layers of your booze. Just layers.
That sentence sounds so weird.
We're gonna record layers of your booze. I don't know. Ron and Hermione both started ripping open envelopes. This one's from a bloke who thinks you're off your rocker, said Ron, glancing down his letter. Ah, well. This woman recommends you try a good course of shock spells at St. Mungo's, said Hermione, looking disappointed and crumbling up a second. This one looks okay, though, said Harry slowly, scanning a long letter from a witch in Paisley. Hey, she says she believes me. This one's in two minds, said Fred, who had joined in the letter opening with enthusiasm. Says you don't come across as a mad person, but he really doesn't want to believe you know who's back, so he doesn't know what to think now. Blimey, what a waste of parchment. Here's another one you've convinced, Harry, said Hermione excitedly. Having read your side of the story, I'm forced to the conclusion that the Daily Prophet has treated you very unfairly. Little though I want to think that he who must not be named has returned, I'm forced to accept that you were telling the truth. Oh, this is wonderful! Another one who thinks you're barking, said Ron, throwing a crumpled letter over his shoulder. But this one says you've got her converted, and she now thinks you're a real hero. She's put in a photograph too. Wow. Professor Umbridge is popping up. Okay. Your Luna voice is so perfect. Is it? Okay, good. Because I was just thinking, I don't know if I'm getting her. So thank you, Just LKS. Appreciate that. What is going on here? Said a falsely sweet, girlish voice. Harry looked up with his hands full of envelopes. Professor Umbridge was standing behind Fred and Luna, her bulging toad's eyes. It's just like... was standing behind Fred, her bulging toad's eyes scanning the mess of owls and letters on the table in front of Harry. Behind her, he saw so many of the students watching them avidly. Why have you got all these letters, Mr. Potter? She asked slowly. Oh, slowly. Okay. Is that a crime now? Said Fred loudly. Getting mail? Be careful, Mr. Weasley, or I shall have to put you in detention, said Umbridge. Well, Mr. Potter? Harry hesitated. But he did not see how he could keep what he had done quiet. It was surely only a matter of time before a copy of the Quibbler came to Umbridge's attention. Our barbershop quartet of booze, Mark.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we could. We could totally do that. Somebody's asking, is anybody else having a bit of troubles, Alexi? Here it's saying excellent connection, so... Or maybe not. I don't know. People have written to me because I gave an interview, said Harry, about what happened to me last June. For some reason, he glanced up at the staff table as he said this. Harry had the strangest feeling that Dumbledore had been watching him a second before, but when he looked towards the headmaster, he seemed to be absorbed in conversation with Professor Flitwick. Excellent here. Okay, good to hear. An interview? Repeated Umbridge, her voice thinner and higher than ever. What do you mean? I mean, a reporter asked me questions, and I answered them, said Harry. Here. And he threw a copy of the Quibbler to her. She caught it and stared down at the cover. Her pale, doughy face turned an ugly, patchy violet. When did you do this? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Last Hogsmeade weekend, said Harry. She looked up at him, incandescent with rage, the magazine shaking in her stubby fingers.
Yeah,
this is not her. Oh, she whispered, okay.
There will be no more Hogsmeade trips for you, Mr. Potter,
she whispered.
How you dare! How you could!
She took a deep breath.
I have tried again and again to teach you not to tell lies. The message apparently has still not sunk in. 50 points from Gryffindor and another week's worth of detentions.
She stalked away, clutching the Quibbler to her chest, the eyes of many students following her.
Boo!
Boo! By mid-morning, enormous signs had been put up all over the school. Put up all over the school, not just on house notice boards, but in the corridors and classrooms too. Boo, 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 bip, boo, 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 boo. That was happening to me earlier. I get buffering issues from time to time. Oh, maybe something's up with the internet today. Sorry, haven't done anything different.
Satellite, you know.
Yeah, totally. Satellites there, like.
Satellite.
Yeah, those things in space. You know, there's comets there too.
Yeah, but the satellites are the important part that Internet's
Right.
not really working right.
Right. And those satellites have antennas on them too, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot. You know, we can't really do anything with that.
No, we
You know,
can't
it's
do
just
anything about that.
write the government.
Yeah.
Write the
Yeah,
government.
talk to Obama.
Yeah. So this is the sign. By order of the High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, any student found in possession of the magazine The Quibbler will be expelled. The above is in accordance with Educational Decree number 27, signed Dolores Jane Umbridge, High Inquisitor. That's so stupid. Don't we just blame Nathan normally? Yeah, totally. Actually, it's Nathan's fault. For some reason, every time Hermione caught sight of one of these signs, she beamed with pleasure. What exactly are you so happy about? Harry asked her. Oh, Harry, don't you see? Hermione breathed. If you could have done one thing to make absolutely sure that every single person in this school will read your interview, it was banning it. It's true. And it seemed that Hermione was quite right. By the end of the day, though Harry had not seen so much as a corner of the Quibbler anywhere in the school, the whole place seemed to be quoting the interview to each other. Harry heard them whisper, huh? Yeah, weird, huh? Harry heard them whispering about it as they queued up outside class, discussing it over lunch and in the back of lessons, while Hermione even reported that every occupant of the cubicles in the girls' toilets had been talking about it when she nipped in there before ancient runes.
When you gotta go, it's toilet time. It's toilet time.
That's the sounds that were happening in there. It's not like we can have a scene and not have the realistic atmosphere of what's happening in that scene. Come on now. Then they spotted me, and obviously they know I know you, so they bombarded me with questions, Hermione told Harry, her eyes shining. And Harry, I think they believe you. I really do. I think they've finally got them convinced. Meanwhile, Professor Umbridge was stalking the school, stopping students at random and demanding that they turn out their books and pockets. She is stressed. Good. Harry knew she was looking for copies of The Quibbler, but the students were several steps ahead of her. The pages carrying Harry's interview had been bewitched to resemble extracts from textbooks, if anyone but themselves read it, or else wiped magically blank until they wanted to peruse it again. Soon it seemed that every single person in the school had read it. The teachers were, of course, forbidden from mentioning the interview by Educational Decree number 26, but they found ways to express their feelings about it all the same. Professor Sprout awarded Gryffindor 20 points when Harry passed her a watering can. A beaming Professor Flitwick pressed a box of squeaking sugar mice on him at the end of charms, said, "Shh," and hurried away. I love Professor Flitwick. He's not like a huge character, but he's like such a fun guy.
Yeah.
And Professor Trelawney broke into hysterical sobs during divination and announced to the startled class and a very disapproving Umbridge that Harry was not going to suffer an early death after all, but would live to a ripe old age, become Minister for Magic, and have 12 children.
Wow.
Okay, then.
Right.
Going at it like rabbits. Germany has one of the worst internets worldwide. Oh yeah, that's true. Forgot this part. Gotta love these teachers. Flitwick is awesome. He's not a huge character.
Germany
Literally.
needs to get more satellites.
True. Yeah, Germany does need more satellites. More satellites with antennas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how they work.
Good. You should probably write the Chancellor of Germany.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tell them to put more antennas on their satellites.
yeah. You definitely need more satellites in Germany. Flitwick is such a cute little nugget. But what made Harry happiest was Cho catching up with him as he was hurrying along. Oh, to Transfiguration the next day. Before he knew what had happened, her hand was in his,
Whoa.
and she was breathing in his ear.
I'm really, really sorry. That interview was so brave. It made me cry.
He was sorry to hear she had shed even more tears over it, but very glad they were on speaking terms again, and even more pleased when she gave him a swift kiss on the cheek and hurried off again. And that's it. And and unbelievably, no sooner had he arrived outside Transfiguration than something just as good happened. Seamus stepped out of the queue to face him. Just wanted to say, he mumbled, squinting at Harry's left knee. I believe you, and I've sent a copy of that magazine to me mum. To me mum.
To me, mum.
To me mum. Who's me mum? You know, me mum. Cho is slowly turning into moaning Myrtle. If anything more was needed to complete Harry's happiness... okay, just now, Harry's happy. We just know in about 2 pages something horrible is going to happen.
Yeah. I'm like, this is nice, but it ain't lasting long. You're not gonna...
It's time for just in the next 5 pages, something really bad's gonna happen.
Okay, what page are you on now?
We're at page 515, so by page 519, something bad is gonna happen.
I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah. Okay. Where were we? Complete Harry's happiness was the reaction he got from Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyelle. He saw them with their heads together later that afternoon in the library. They were with a weedy-looking boy Hermione whispered was called Theodore Nott. There's some adjectives. If it's not yet, just wait. If you know the parts coming up with him, but if he's a character that I need to give some adjectives to, let me know. Book adjectives. Theodore Nott. They looked round at Harry as he browsed the shelves for the book he needed on partial vanishment. Goyelle cracked his knuckles threateningly, and Malfoy whispered something undoubtedly malevolent to Crabbe. Harry knew perfectly well why they were acting like this. He had named all of their fathers as Death Eaters. Oh yeah. All right. And the best bit, whispered Hermione gleefully as they left the library, is they can't contradict you because they can't admit they've read the article. To cap it all, Luna told him over dinner that no issue of the Quibbler had ever sold out faster. That's reprinting, she told Harry, her eyes popping excitedly. He can't believe it. He says people seem even more interested in this than the Crumplehorn Snowcax. Harry was a hero in the Gryffindor common room that night. Daringly, Fred and George had put an enlargement charm on the front cover of the Quibbler and hung it on the wall, so that Harry's giant head gazed down upon the proceedings, occasionally saying things like, The Ministry are morons and eat dung, Umbridge, in a booming voice. Oh, geez, that's not good.
It's pretty risky.
Hermione did not find this very amusing. She said it interfered with her concentration. That's too close, there we go. Her concentration, and she ended up going to bed early out of irritation. Harry had to admit that the poster was not quite as funny after an hour or two, especially when the talking spell had started to wear off, so that it merely shouted disconnected words like dung and Umbridge at more and more frequent intervals in a progressively higher voice. Dung. In fact, it started to make his head ache, and his scar began prickling uncomfortably again. To disappointed moans from the many people who were sitting around him, asking him to relive his interview for the umpteenth time, he announced that he too needed an early night. Theater not important. Nice, Mo Luther. Mo Luther killing it with the puns. The dormitory was empty when he reached it. He rested his forehead for a moment against the cool glass of the window beside his bed. It felt soothing against his scar. Then he undressed and got into bed, wishing his headache would go away. He also felt slightly sick. He rolled over onto his side, closed his eyes, and fell asleep almost at once. He was standing in a dark curtained room. Let me find here. There we go. Dark curtained room, lit by a single branch of candles. His hands were clenched on the back of a chair in front of him. They were long-fingered and white, as though they had not seen sunlight for years, and looked like large, pale spiders against the dark velvet of the chair. Beyond the chair, in a pool of light cast upon the floor by the candles, knelt a man in black robes. "I have been badly advised, it seems," said Harry, in a high, cold voice that pulsed with anger. Oh, this is him being Voldemort.
Seems like it.
Holy smokes. Okay. It's Wormtail or whatever his name is. Wormtail? No.
Yeah, it might be.
Wormtail?
I don't know.
I'm gonna give him Wormtail's voice because I'm feeling like he's being angry at somebody and he's usually angry at Wormtail.
Master, I crave your pardon,
Croaked the man kneeling on the floor, the back of his head glimmering in the candlelight. He seemed to be trembling. "I do not blame you, Rookwood," said Harry in that cold, cruel voice. He relinquished his grip on the chair and walked around it, closer to the man cowering on the floor, until he stood directly over him in the darkness, looking down from a far greater height than usual. Oh, Rookwood. I think that's a new character. Okay, some adjectives for Rookwood, please. Because I thought it was Wormtail, but it seems like Rookwood is a new character. We haven't had Rookwood before, have we?
I don't think so.
No. Any adjectives for him? Well,
You are sure of your facts, Rookwood?
asked Harry.
Yes, my lord. Yes, I used to work in the department after all.
See if that voice is good. Oh, well, that's the voice for that I did before was for Wormtail. That was Wormtail's voice. He's a different person. Don't need a voice for him. Make him evil sounding. Cool.
Avery told me Bode would be able to remove it. Bode could never have taken it, master. Bode would have known he could not. Undoubtedly, that is why he fought so hard against Malfoy's imperious curse. Stand up, Rookwood,
Whispered Harry. The kneeling man almost fell. I don't know how to do this voice because it's like it is Voldemort and it's him at the same time. The kneeling man almost fell over in his haste to obey. His face was pockmarked. The scars were thrown into relief by the candlelight. He remained a little stooped when standing, as though halfway through a bow, and he darted terrified looks up at Harry's face. That's McNair. He was one of the people named at the trials in Book 4.
You have done well to tell me this, said Harry. Very well. I have wasted months on fruitless schemes, it seems. But no matter. We begin again from now. You have Lord Voldemort's gratitude, Rookwood.
Maybe I'll just do it in Lord Voldemort's voice, because I'm trying to do Harry and him at the same time.
My lord, yes, my lord,
Gasped Rookwood, his voice hoarse with relief.
I shall need your help. I shall need all the information you can give me. Of course, my lord. Of course. Anything? Very well. You may go. Send Avery to me.
Rookwood scurried backwards, bowing, and disappeared through a door. Just do it as Voldemort. Yeah. Let alone in the dark room, Harry turned towards the wall. A cracked, age-spotted mirror hung on the wall in the shadows. Harry moved towards it. His reflection grew larger and clearer in the darkness. A face whiter than a skull. Red eyes with slits for pupils.
No!
"What?" yelled a voice nearby. Harry flailed around wildly, became entangled in the hangings and fell out of his bed. For a few seconds he did not know where he was. He was convinced he was about to see the white, skull-like face looming at him out of the dark again. Then very near to him Ron's voice spoke. "Will you stop acting like a maniac so I can get you out of here?" Ron wrenched the hangings apart, and Harry stared up at him in the moonlight. Flat on his back, his scar searing with pain. Ron looked as though he had just been getting ready for bed. One arm was out of his robes. Just Uvaldi, Lord Voldemort. Valdamero. Has someone been attacked again? Asked Ron, pulling Harry roughly to his feet. Is it Dad? Is that Snake? No, everything's fine, gasped Harry, whose forehead felt as though it were on fire. Well, Avery isn't. He's in trouble. He gave him the wrong information. Voldemort's really angry. Harry groaned and sank, shaking onto his bed, rubbing his scar. But Rookwood's going to help him now. He's on the right track again. What are you talking about? Said Ron, sounding scared. Do you mean... Did you just see you-know-who? I was you-know-who, said Harry, and he stretched out his hand in the darkness and held them up to his face to check that they were no longer deathly white and long-fingered. He was with Rookwood. He was one of the Death Eaters who escaped from Azkaban, remember? Rookwood's just told him Bode couldn't have done it. Done what? Remove something. He said Bode would have known he couldn't have done it. Bode was under the Imperius curse. I think he said Malfoy's dad put it on him. Bode was bewitched to remove something? Ron said. But Harry, that's got to be... The weapon. Harry finished the sentence for him. I know. Okay, wait a second. Remove something. What is it? That whatever they wanted to have removed.
It's not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear yet. Okay. The dormitory door opened. Dean and Seamus came in. Harry swung his legs back into bed. He did not want to look as though anything odd had just happened, seeing as Seamus had only just stopped thinking Harry was a nutter. Did you say, murmured Ron, putting his head close to Harry's on the pretense of helping himself to water from the jug on his bedside table, that you were you-know-who? Yeah, said Harry quietly. Ron took an unnecessarily large gulp of water. Harry saw it spill over his chin onto his chest. Harry, he said, as Dean and Seamus clattered around noisily, pulling off their robes and talking, you've got to tell... I haven't got to tell anyone, said Harry shortly. I wouldn't have seen it at all if I could do occlumency. I'm supposed to have learned to shut the stuff out. That's what they want. By they, he meant Dumbledore. He got back into bed and rolled over to his side with his back to Ron, and after a while he heard Ron's mattress creak as he too lay back down. Harry's scar began to burn. He bit hard on his pillow to stop himself making noise. Somewhere, he knew, Avery was being punished. So just for clarification, Avery is Avery Rookwood.
Yes.
Or Avery Bode. Confused about that. Bode was in St. Mungo's, remember, yes. Yes, this counts as my 5-page premonition.
What page are you on?
518. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Still got a whole other 2 pages to go
For what?
before 520, because it started on at 515.
True. But this already counts. This is already counts. This is already counts. No, Augustus Rookwood. Who is Augustus Rookwood? No, oh, okay, no, okay. Avery's the last. Wait, okay, so there's Avery, Bode, and Rookwood. Rookwood is some new dude helping Voldemort. Bode is the guy who is in St. Mungo's. Who now is Avery?
Another Death Eater.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. We just don't know much about the person yet. Harry and Ron waited until break next morning to tell Hermione exactly what had happened. They wanted to be absolutely sure that they could not be overheard. Standing in their usual corner of the cool and breezy courtyard, Harry told her every detail of the dream he could remember. When he had finished, she said nothing at all for a few moments, but stared with a kind of painful intensity at Fred and George, who were both headless and selling their magical hats from under their cloaks on the other side of the yard. He's the guy who asked for forgiveness in the fourth one. Wait, Avery gave Voldemort info. They used Bode to act on that info. Rookwood contradicted Avery. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, G. Chicago. That's very concise and helpful. every detail of the dream he could remember. When he had finished, she said nothing at all for a few moments, but stared with a kind of painful intensity at Fred and George, who were both headless and selling their magical hats from under their cloaks on the other side of the yard. So that's why they killed him, she said quietly, withdrawing her gaze from Fred and George at last. When Bode tried to steal this weapon, something funny happened to him. I think there must be defensive spells on it or around it to stop people touching it. That's why he was in St. Mungo's. His brain has gone all funny and he couldn't talk. But remember what the healer told us? He was recovering, and they couldn't risk him getting better, could they? I mean, the shock of whatever happened when he touched that weapon probably meant the Imperious Curse lift. Once he'd got his voice back, he'd explain what he'd been doing, wouldn't he? They would have known he'd been sent to steal the weapon, of course. It would have been easy for Lucius Malfoy to put the curse on him, never out of the ministry, is he? Okay, that all makes sense to me. Makes sense to you? Yeah? He was even hanging around that day I had my hearing, said Harry. Hang on, he said slowly. He was in the Department of Mysteries corridor that day. Your dad said he was probably trying to sneak down and find out what happened in my hearing, but what if... Sturgis! Gasped Hermione, looking thunderstruck. Wait. Oh, gosh, so many names. Sturgis? Who's Sturgis now? Do you remember?
No.
Who's Sturgis now? Ugh.
Sturgis, what's his last name? He's an Order of the Phoenix person, isn't he?
I don't know. They had so many... That's the problem with this book, is that a lot of the characters that they're talking about never really pop up. Even like the Order of the Phoenix people, there's like...
Yeah.
What is Thundercrack, or what is his name?
Sturgis Podmore.
Okay, so that's just the first name. Okay. Sorry? Said Ron, looking bewildered. Sturgis Podmore, said Hermione breathlessly. Arrested for trying to get through a door.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Lucius Malfoy must have got him too. I bet he did it the day you saw him there, Harry. Sturgis had Moody's invisibility cloak, right? So, what if he was standing guard by the door, invisible, and Malfoy heard him move, or guessed someone was there, or just did the Imperious Curse on the off chance there'd be a guard there? So, when Sturgis next had an opportunity, probably when it was his turn on guard duty again, he tried to get into the department to steal the weapon for Voldemort. Ron, be quiet. But he got caught and sent to Azkaban. She gazed at Harry. And now Rookwood's told Voldemort how to get the weapon. I didn't hear all the conversation, but that's what it sounded like, said Harry. Rookwood used to work there. Maybe Voldemort sent Rookwood to do it? Wait, I'm confused. I'm confused because if Podmore is trying to steal whatever was in there, right? Why would Malfoy
Malfoy
hinder him?
Lucius Malfoy wants to steal it for Voldemort.
Well, so does Podmore.
I thought Podmore was with the Order of the Phoenix. Or maybe not.
No.
No.
But it says here, Sturgis had an opportunity. He tried to get into the department to steal the weapon for Voldemort, but he got caught.
All right.
So why would Malfoy hinder him in this task? Sturgis Podmore is a member of the Phoenix, but right now it says, so when Sturgis next had an opportunity, probably when it was turn on guard duty, he tried to get into the department to steal the weapon for Voldemort. He's a member of the Phoenix? He's a mole?
Yeah, is he a mole?
Ron, I don't get it. Hermione, very funny. I guess
he
that
was under a curse.
could also be. So he's a part of the Phoenix, Order of the Phoenix, but he tried to steal it for Voldemort. So he's a mole. Malfoy's been cursing people, I mean. Okay, I guess that's as far as I can read back. Because Malfoy imperioused him. Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, so Podmore was trying to steal it. What's his face? Malfoy Imperious cursed it.
No, Imperious cursed Sturgis.
Yeah, what's Imperious curse again? I'm completely...
Controls him. It makes him do shit.
Right, so he's like, you steal it for Voldemort. Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because that was so confusing in my mind. Lucius put the curse on him. Gotcha. Thanks, everybody. I didn't hear all the conversation, but that's what it sounded like, said Harry. Rookwood used to work there. Maybe Voldemort sent Rookwood to do it. Hermione nodded, apparently still lost in thought. Then, quite abruptly, she said, But you shouldn't have seen this at all, Harry. What? He said, taken aback. You're supposed to be learning how to close your mind to this sort of thing, said Hermione, suddenly stern. I know I am, said Harry. But, well, I think we should just try and forget what you saw, said Hermione firmly. And you ought to put in a bit more effort on your occlumency from now on. Harry was so angry with her, he did not talk to her for the rest of the day, which proved to be another bad one. When people were not discussing the escaped Death Eaters in the corridors, they were laughing at Gryffindor's abysmal performance in their match against Hufflepuff. The Slytherins were singing Weasley is our king so loudly and frequently that by sundown, Filch had banned it from the corridors out of sheer irritation. Imagine being a kid and trying to follow this. Yeah, true. I like that every book is different. This is a mystery novel to try and figure out. Yeah. I mean, it might have been mysterious for all of you and confusing, but... I mean, do I have to say it?
Stop it.
Do I have to say it?
All we have to do is roll back 5 minutes and you'll see you go like...
What are you talking about?
Huh?
No. Roll back 5 minutes and you'll see that everybody was asking questions about what's going on. And I was explaining it. It's simple. It's simple. And good opportunity for your audience reaction.
Yeah, well, what if I don't want to use it?
The week did not improve as it progressed. Harry received 2 more D's in Harry received 2 more D's in potions. Yeah, he did. He was still on tenterhooks that Hagrid might get the sack, and he couldn't stop himself dwelling on the dream in which he had been Voldemort. Though he didn't bring it up with Ron and Hermione again. He didn't want another telling off from Hermione. He wished very much that he could have talked to Sirius about it, but that was out of the question. So he tried to push the matter to the back of his mind. What did Shira say? Carry Thundercrack, moderator for magic. That's good. That's really good. I love that John lives in his own delusional world. Yeah, it's great. The vacations are cheap. Unfortunately, the back of his mind was no longer the secure place it had once been. Who was saying this? Who was saying Snape? Get up, Potter. Change your lights. A couple of weeks after his dream of Rookwood, Harry was to be found, yet again, kneeling on the floor of Snape's office, trying to clear his head. He had just been forced, yet again, to relive a stream of very early... It's so funny that he's supposed to clear his head, and this book is like all the stuff that a teenage boy goes through. It's like being in love, the struggle of confusion, everything, really. Most of them concerning humiliations Dudley and his gang had inflicted upon him in primary school. The lost memory, said Snape. What was it? I don't know, said Harry, getting warily to his feet. He was finding it increasingly difficult to disentangle separate memories from the rush of images and sound that Snape kept calling back forth. You mean the one where my cousin tried to make me stand in the toilet?
When you gotta go,
Stand
it's
in your
toilet
toilet.
It's toilet time.
Harry Potter and the struggle of confusion. Yeah, yes indeedy. No, said Snape softly. I mean the one with a man kneeling in the middle of a darkened room. It's nothing, said Harry. Snape's dark eyes bored into Harry's. Remembering what Snape had said about eye contact being crucial to legitimacy, Harry blinked and looked away. How do that man and that room come to be inside your head, Potter? Said Snoop. It's, said Harry, looking everywhere but at Snape. It was just a dream I had. A dream, repeated Snape. There was a pause, during which Harry stared fixedly at a large dead frog suspended in a jar of purple liquid. You do know why we are here, don't you, Potter? Said Snape in a low, dangerous voice. You do know why I am giving up my evenings to do this tedious job. Yes, said Harry stiffly.
Remind me why we are here, Potter.
So I can learn occlumency, said Harry, now glaring at a dead eel.
Correct, Potter. And dim though you may be,
Harry looked back at Snape, hating him.
I would have thought that after over 2 months of lessons, you might have made some progress. How many other dreams about the Dark Lord have you had?
Just that one, said Harry.
Perhaps,
Said Snoop, his dark, cold eyes narrowing slightly.
perhaps you actually enjoy having these visions and dreams, Potter. Maybe they make you feel special, important.
No, they don't, said Harry, his jaw set and his fingers clenched tightly around the handle of his wand.
That is just as well, Potter, said Snape coldly, because you are neither special nor important. And it is not up to you to find out what the Dark Lord is saying to his Death Eaters.
No, that's your job, isn't it? Harry shot at him. Nice. He had not meant to say it. It had burst out of him in temper. For a long moment they stared at each other, Harry convinced he had gone too far. But there was a curious, almost satisfied expression on Snape's face when he answered.
Yes, Potter,
He said, his eyes glinting.
that is my job. Now, if you are ready, we will start again.
He raised his wand.
1, 2, 3. Legit. 1, 2, 3.
Fun fact, the first North American edition had a reference to Harry popping in 3 cheers for Sweet Revenge by My Chemical Romance into his Discman after his failed Valentine's Day with Joe, but they took it out after the first printing. Oh, that's so good. Let's see how long this scene goes here. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this scene. That's it. It goes up for another 2 pages. Daphne, 1, 2, 3, linguini. Linguini. That's so good. That is so good. 100 Dementors were swooping towards Harry across the lake in the grounds. He screwed up his face in concentration. They were coming closer. He could see the dark holes beneath their hoods, yet he could also see Snape standing in front of him, his eyes fixed on Harry's face, muttering under his breath. And somehow, Snape was growing clearer, and the Dementors were growing fainter. Harry raised his own wand. Protego! Snape staggered. His wand flew upwards, away from Harry, and suddenly Harry's mind was teeming with memories that were not his. A hooked-nosed man was shouting at a cowering woman, while a small, dark-haired boy cried in a corner. A greasy-haired teenager sat alone in a dark bedroom, pointing his wand at the ceiling, shooting down flies. A girl was laughing as a scrawny boy tried to mount a bucking broomstick.
Enough!
Harry felt as though he had been pushed hard in the chest. He staggered several steps backwards, hit some of the shelves covering Snape's walls, and heard something crack. Snape was shaking slightly and was very white in the face. The back of Harry's robes were damp. One of the jars behind him had broken when he fell against it. The pickled, slimy thing within was swirling in its draining potion. "Peril!" hissed Snape, and the jar sealed itself at once.
Well, Potter, that was certainly an improvement.
Panting slightly, Snape straightened the pensieve in which he had again stored some of his thoughts before starting the lesson. Almost as though he was checking they were still there.
I don't remember telling you to use a shield charm. There's no doubt that it was effective.
So a little bit of Snape's home life, childhood life there.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So his hook-nosed dad was yelling at his mom, so abusive. Well, yeah, probably. I mean, depending. Parents shout at each other sometimes and fight, right? But it seems to imply a abusive household. Him shooting flies, killing animals as a kid, and a girl laughing at him as he tried to fly on a broomstick. So a lot of shame, I guess. Look at me. I'm a therapist and a psychologist.
What was the spell that Harry used?
What was it? It was Protego. Protego.
Harry said Prego. Linguini and
Prego, linguine. Oh yeah, she was cowering, right. We can make every spell a pasta. I would love that. Harry did not speak. He felt that to say anything might be dangerous. He was sure he had just broken into Snape's memories, that he had just seen scenes from Snape's childhood. It was unnerving. Oh gosh. It was unnerving to think that the little boy who had been crying as he watched his parents shouting was actually standing in front of him with such loathing in his eyes. "Let's try again, shall we?" said Snape. Harry felt a thrill of dread. A thrill of dread. He was about to pay for what had just happened. He was sure of it. They moved back into position with the desk between them. Harry feeling he was going to find it much harder to empty his mind this time. "On the count of 3, then," said Snape, raising his wand once more. 1, 2. Harry did not have time to gather himself together and attempt to clear his mind before Snoop cried... What did he cry again? Linguini! Linguini! He was hurtling along the corridor towards the Department of Mysteries. Ooh! Past the blank stone walls, past the torches, the plain black door was growing even larger. He was moving so fast he was going to collide with it. He was feet from it, and again he could see that chink of faint blue light. The door had flown open. He was through it at last, inside a black-walled, black-floored circular room lit with blue-flamed candles, and there were more doors all around him. He needed to go on. But which door ought he to take? "Potter!" Harry opened his eyes. He was flat on his back again, with no memory of having got there. He was also panting as though he really had run the length of the Department of Mysteries corridor, really had sprinted through that black door and found the circular room. Spaghetto patronum, spaghetgroit, spaghettogroit. Oh my gosh. Protego was a protection reflection spell. Gotcha. "Explain yourself," said Snape, who was standing over him, looking furious. "I don't know what happened," said Harry truthfully, standing up. There was a lump on the back of his head from where he had hit the ground, and he felt feverish. "I've never seen that before. I mean, I told you, I've dreamed about that door, but it's never opened before." "You are not working hard enough." For some reason, Snape seemed even angrier than he had been 2 minutes before, when Harry had seen into his teacher's memories. You are lazy and sloppy, Potter. It is small wonder that the Dark Lord... "Can you tell me something, sir?" said Harry, firing up again. "Why do you call Voldemort the Dark Lord? I've only ever heard Death Eaters call him that." Ooh, more sass from Harry. Snape opened his mouth in a snarl, and a woman screamed from somewhere outside the room. Snape's head jerked upwards. He was gazing at the ceiling. "What the?" he muttered. He was about to curse. Harry could hear a muffled commotion coming from what he thought might be the entrance hall. Snape looked round at him, frowning. Okay, gonna end there, because this is gonna be another big scene. It's cliffhanger ending. And we're gonna pick it up when Mark comes back on Tuesday. Well, when I come back too, because I'm going to my buddy's cabin tomorrow through Tuesday. So no reading on Monday. Remember that. I'll put it on the Discord as well. Wow. Okay. A lot of interesting things. We got some revelation about Snape there. Yeah. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm sure they'll expound on Snape. They'll expound on something there.
It's nice to see Harry succeed in that lesson.
Yeah, it is. Get you know, if he can beat Voldemort, he is for sure Snape's better. He just doesn't know all the spells and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have the teaching
He
yet.
doesn't have the experience.
But he's for sure Snape's better.
Not a potion.
Not yet. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it works in that world. Like the whole, you know, if you're powerful, does it mean you're good at every area of magictum?
I don't know.
You know?
Probably.
Maybe. Like, if you're really good at casting spells, does it mean you're really good at potions too? I mean, if you have the power, I don't know. I suddenly want to listen to Emma Lose Yourself to have this talk of spaghetti. It's cabin time. Yeah, it's going to be a big scene here. What else? What else happened? So
Cho
this
held his hand.
Cho held his hand. She just snuck up and was like, "Eep," give him a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder he's confused. Didn't clarify anything. He was like, "Oh, okay, sweet."
I'm glad we're good.
Yeah, cool.
Goodbye.
Till next time I screw this up. Bye. If you're powerful, you probably can say things like legilimens easily. That means I'm powerful. You tried to mess me up there, didn't you, G Chicago? Well, it didn't work. Has anyone else tuned John out and only thinking of pasta puns? Hey, Carrie. Hey, Carrie. You and Lois, what kind of moderators are you? Dissing me. I was Googling different kinds of pasta. I had him at volume 2. Oh, my Merlin. I can't wait till John comes back and has to respond to all the pasta puns. I feel like if you were a good cook, you would be good at potions. You're too good, but he still can't say regurgitation.
You still can't say regurgitation.
Regurgitation. I'm never going to remember that. Ever. Regurgitation. Ah, Dex is in the picture too. Look at him. He just leapt up on you. That's so cute. The good kinds of mods. Yeah. Okay, friends. I will see you all on Tuesday for some more Harry Potter. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Do something fun. Whatever fun means to you. If that means going outside, or if it just means staying inside and watching the movies all day long. It's up to you. But have some fun. Much love. Love having you on the stream. This is the second last time with Mark, so he's got one more time until he's peacing out.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
So shoot Mark some love. We will see you all soon with Conk's Corner. I don't know if I'm gonna play the animation every single time. It might get on people's nerves at the beginning and the end. But anyway.